going on, everybody? It's your boy Pitts, Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV, coming to you live. Listen, it's going down, all things HBCUs. And who else better to start it off with them Bowie State Bulldogs? We coming to you, Bowie State Bulldogs, total access. We got the Morgan State Bears. Listen, all HBCUs information, all HBCU news, sporting events, updates. You get it live here with Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV, Comcast Channel 77. Verizon Channel 11 is going down. Don't you miss a beat.
Listen, it's only the beginning because it's early still.
And it's
we're going to be here all day.
All day.
Yeah, let's go. Listen, we are back, man. Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Pitts from Pitts and Pitt Sports Talk Radio, Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV, coming to you live as usual. As you know how me and Coach Bernard Clark Jr. get down, this is through the eye of the tiger. It don't get no better. It's just me and Coach. We talk everything Robert Morris University, and we razzle-dazzle a little bit of other things in there as well, which I'm going to razzle-dazzle something in there for Coach a little later. He should have already knew that. But listen, Coach, how have you been, man?
Everything's going well, man. You know, went through signing day, both of them. You know, one in December and the one in February. Went through both those signing days, so we feel good about the guys we have and getting ready to kick off spring ball. But right now we got spring break, so I'm down in Florida relaxing, man. Got an opportunity to see my mother, and my wife and I took out to lunch the other day, so things are going good. I got no complaints. I am enjoying the process.
I can tell, you know, that's that sunny Florida behind you, you know, that I can see just trying to burst through the blinds. So I'm jealous.
Hey, don't be. I know it's a little sunshine up there in Baltimore. You all right? You good?
Nah, not even. But Coach, before we get into spring football, man, I feel that we'd be remiss if we don't, you know, kind of pivot a little bit, right? The season didn't end the way you wanted to. You know, you had 2 games. You had 3 games, you know, towards that end of that season where you had Duquesne, you know, and then you had to follow up with another. So, but the season didn't end the way you did. It ended great. You still was on a winning season, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you guys killed in the awards. And I'm just going, I'd be remiss. We got to go through just a couple of them, right?
Absolutely.
So then you had Luke Belatowski, right? He was your the NEC Northeast Conference Football Fall Scholar Athlete of the Year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have, not only was he the Fall Athlete Scholar of the Year, right? You also had your Rod Carter Jr. He was ranked number 1 cornerback in some polls, right? You had the number 1 defense last year in the NEC, right? You're talking about ranked number 1 ranked number 2 in sacks, ranked number 1 in scoring. Rank your leaders, oh my goodness. You talk about Keon Freeman and Jamar Shagad. You're talking about number 1 and 2 and leaders and tackles in the NEC. This is the entire conference, not just Robert Morris University. Right. But what was like that commercial in the past? Wait, there's more. Then, you know, you have 4 first-team all-conference, Jamar Shagad, Noah Robinson, Landon Lucas, Luke Belatowski. Then you had 4 second-team all-conference, Rod Carter, Tavon Edmonds, Tyrus Harvey, Jason Jenkins, Keon Freeman, which Keon should have been the first team as well. How do you lead the NEC and tackles, but you're not a first-team all-conference? No, that's I'm not going to do too much on that one. But let's talk about that NCAA ranked defense of yours. Number 9 in sacks, number 9 in defensive touchdowns, number 14 tackle for loss, number 17 in scoring defense, number 17 in pass efficiency, number 30 in third down, number 32 in total defense. Then your special teams got some love too, right? So you were number 1 in the NEC, number 36 in the country in kickoff, number 2 in the NEC for kickoff return, number 26 in the country for kickoff return, and Jason Jenkins. Then in punting, number one in the NEC for net punting, number 17 in the country in net punting, number 1 in the NEC in punt return defense, number 10 in the country in punt return defense, number 2 in the NEC in punt return, 30 punts inside the 20, 12 50-yard punts, 1 return for a touchdown, and more. Like, Coach, guys, you guys did the damn thing last year.
They played well. I mean, our team played well. I'm glad you have all those stats because, as you know, the only stat I care about
is the wins and losses.
That's it.
But that's why I said because. Yeah. And that's why I said it, because I know you're not going to throw those out there. Those aren't the accolades that, as a head coach that you want. You rather the wins and losses. But it does count for something, because it shows not only because we talked about this in a plethora of other sessions episodes when we talked about, when your team was, didn't have any wins, but they fought like they were undefeated. Then the next year they increased their wins. Then last year, they're in the win column. Like, talk about how does that feel, aside from wins and losses, when you see that your guys are getting the recognition that they deserve, despite the record of wins and losses.
Oh, no, it was outstanding. I mean, it was great to see our guys not only turn it around from the year before, go back into the NEC and play the way they're capable of playing, but probably the one that stands out more than any of those accolades is Luke Beltesky, because Luke, I mean, to have a 3.94 GPA, to be the Scholar Athlete of the Year in football in the whole conference, I mean, that's unbelievable. That's a great opportunity for him. He's getting a lot of job offers, so that's the positive thing about it. The only crazy thing about it, he had 1 more year, but he felt like this was it for him. He accomplished everything he wanted to accomplish. He has his degree, Scholar Athlete of the Year, all conference. He's done everything he's possible that he can do, I think, and he decided he wanted to go ahead and go on with his life. And so I wish him nothing but the best in his future endeavors, and everything works out for him. And you got Shigog and you got Keon, like you said, number 1 and number 2 in tackles. I don't think that's ever been done in the conference. I know it's never been done to Robert Morris.
It's never been done to Robert Morris. That was the first in Robert Morris history. Not sure if it's been done in the conference. How does Keon get nodded for second team and you lead the NEC in tackles?
The whole thing is it goes down to the fact that I think it has more to do with that's how they saw it. That's how the NEC saw it. So I'm not going to debunk what they did. I mean, I'm just happy that guys got all conference. It was a great accolade for them, put them in a great position. Like you said, when you're number 1 and number 2 in the conference, didn't go the way they wanted it to go, but it was outstanding that they did it. And for Keon, he didn't start the season. I mean, Keon's a guy that came in the fall, remember? So he was still learning the defense when he got there. So he didn't start against Utah State. He didn't start against Edinburgh. He didn't start starting until the 3rd game of the year, and that's when he came on strong. And in a couple of games, he ended up getting injured, and he couldn't finish the game. The Stonehill game, he couldn't finish because of a bad shoulder. So it's a situation where he basically played 9.5 games, and he ended up with the tackles that he had. And Chicago's been a cornerstone of our team ever since he got here. Chicago got here back in 2000. I can't even remember when he got here. He's been here for so long. But the fact that he got here and he's been able to play where he's capable of playing. And on top of that, he has his master's degree. He has his bachelor's and he has his master's degree. So he's put himself in a great position for great opportunities. And those guys have done some great things. Rob Carter, like you said, started out the season with a dynamic play with a catch of the year.
ESPN top 10. ESPN. I forgot about that, right? And you had an ESPN top 10. He could have had 2, but he had an ESPN top 10 moment last year. Number 1, actually.
Absolutely. And so Rob had a great year. And you're talking about a guy, and like I said before, no one knows this, and a lot of people don't. I should say a lot of people don't know this, but Rob broke his hand. That was the reason he had to go up with 1 hand and catch that ball the way he did. But the great thing about it, he finished the season strong, and later on we got him in on kickoff returns. He was able to return one against Central Connecticut, did a great job against those guys. And you go on and on and on about how hard our team has played, how these guys have put themselves in position to be real good athletes and perform the way they perform. And I really appreciate those things those guys did for us. The crazy thing about that, when you have players that perform like that, you have a defense that's performed like that, that's one thing that happens, man. You lose coaches. So it's a situation where we lost 5 coaches here. We lost the offensive coordinator. We lost the defensive coordinator. We lost the D-line coach. We lost the tight end coach. We lost the running backs. We lost the running backs coach. But they went on to better things for them. It's a better opportunity for them. And I always tell coaches, man, you got to do what's best for you and your family. You can't do what's best for me. You can't do what's best for the university. You got to do what's best for you and your family. That's what those coaches did, and I wish them nothing but the best. But we had to reload. We had to reload and go out and get some coaches. And I think we got some guys that are going to fill those voids pretty good.
Man, so you kind of already went into, my next thing before we actually get into spring football is the losses that you've accumulated in, you know, I didn't realize that it was five coaches: your
Yeah.
offensive coordinator, your defensive coordinator, your running backs coach, your tight ends coach, your D lines coach. Coach, how do you how does your team, or how do you as the head coach, because yes, you know, you're the head coach and a lot of things is disseminated through you, but you know, when it comes to your leadership, I watch how you allow your coaches to coach, right?
Yep.
And you know, how do you try to emulate that success when you have new individuals? Because I'm sure what they do is different, right? Nothing that
Hmm.
they do is going to be the same.
Hmm.
So, you know, what is the mindset there in regards to um, understanding that, you know, this is going to be a new process, or a relearning process, should I say, for us as a unit?
Well, the most important thing on defense, it wasn't that big of a change. It was a change, but it wasn't a change. Uh, Jason McCrenos was our corners coach. I just bumped him to defensive coordinator. And we brought in a safeties coach. We brought in a linebacker coach. We brought in a D-line coach. So that's a situation and that's not going to change much. Our defense is kind of going to stay the same. We may change some tweaks here and there, but it's nothing going to be major. It's not going to be a major overhaul or anything like that. And
Yeah.
the positive thing about the offensive coordinator, a guy by the name of Troy Rothenbuehler, Coach, he was for the last 5 years, he was at Youngstown. So he was
Okay.
proven at Youngstown, did an outstanding job. When I spoke with the coach at Youngstown, even though he let him go, he felt like he was a great coach. And I felt like he was a great person. And the thing that impressed me was when I talked to him and I interviewed him, he said, Coach, the most important thing is that the guys come in and learn. He said, so I'm not going to come in and try to revamp everything. I'm going to come in and learn what they did, and we're going to put it together what I do and make sure we're all on the same page. Because it's a lot easier for me to come in and learn as opposed to me trying to come in and try to change 45, 50 guys to get them on the same page. So that was the positive thing about that, his mindset when he got in here. And the other coaches that I brought in, the only change I made, our special teams coordinator, Coach Tansky, he was our safeties coach. I moved him to tight ends. And the reason I did that is because it gives him an opportunity now to focus on one position with tight ends and the special teams unit. And also, he was a wide receiver in college. So now he's worked both sides of the ball. He's coached on the offense and he's coached on the defense before. So I moved him back to the offense. So I think it'll give us a better balance and give him give him a better opportunity for better jobs and better situations for him also. So I did that. And like I said, the other coaches I brought in a new running backs coach, brought in a D-line coach, brought in a safeties coach, and brought in a linebacker coach. Because obviously the biggest loss, and not because of the defense, is Coach Plungers. Me and Coach Plungers have been together for the past 10 years. We were together at Albany. I brought him over his first defensive coordinator's job. He was 27 years old. And it's going to be a change for him because now he's going somewhere. He's at James Madison University now, and it's totally different for him. He went there as a linebacker coach, so it's a totally different situation for him, with a new head coach and someone, a new leader for him. So that's the only big change for me. It's just kind of me and Jason got to get to know each other the same way that Coach Plungers and I knew each other. But I think it's going to go smoothly. It's going to go well. The most positive thing about this is you let the young men know when they come in, and I told them the word for spring ball, and you'll like this ball. The word for spring ball is embrace. Embrace the change, embrace what's going on, and understand the importance of the change, that you have a clean slate now. I'm not going to tell a coach, this guy can do this guy can do that. We're watching film. Every day we're watching film as coaches. We had 3 days of practice before we went on spring break. They weren't in pads, but we were still able to see who can move, who gets after it, who works hard, and things like that. And you got new coaches coming in. They're coming to me. If I say, hey, man, I don't know, this guy can get it done, they're saying, hey, coach, I can get him and get it done. Because that's the excitement that they have, and they haven't seen him play. They don't have any preconceived notions about him doing this or doing that. So they have a clean slate. So I told them, make sure you embrace the hard work, embrace the process of getting better, and embrace the new coach that's coming in, and put yourself in a position to get on that football field.
We talk about the personnel. Now let's talk about the players lost. Whether it's graduation, like a Luke, or a transfer portal. I see you signed. I think I want to say I was 43 from in my record is around that number, where you had a couple new players coming on. Talk about the losses from the player perspective, or whether it's graduation or transfer portal.
Well, as you know, the toughest loss is when you start losing offensive linemen. We lost Luke. We lost Hayden Barron. We lost Riley Kemper. All these guys are just, after years of playing football, their bodies are just so banged up, just like coach. It's just time for me to start my life. So
Yeah.
we lost Diego Toros, and we lost a lot of guys on the offensive line. So basically, we got one guy. As we're watching film, we got one guy as we watch film on the offensive line that's coming back, and that's Mofi. And the rest of the guys are pretty new guys that are coming in. So Coach Holder has his work cut out for him this spring to get guys going. And then another guy we lost, like you said, man, we lost Sean Charles. We lost Noah Robinson. We lost who else we lose? We lost Dre Cooper. We lost Terrell Ridgely. I can go on and on and on. We lost a bunch of wide receivers. So all the guys that are here now are all new guys. So the weird thing is, as we've had those first 3 days of spring ball, we go back and look at spring last year, everything was clicking because it was the same team from the year before.
Absolutely.
Well, now it's all new guys, and now we got to get them in the right frame of mind, practicing the way they need to. Again, embracing what's going on and understanding the importance of it. And with the new coaches now, the defensive line is pretty much the same. That's the positive thing about that. Got a lot of guys back on the defensive line. Lost some guys, some key guys, but we also got some key guys back. The biggest loss on defense, as you know, is the two backers. We lost two leading tacklers. Yeah, so we got new linebackers and got new guys coming in, trying to take some of those guys who are there right now, trying to get them moved back. So we got a lot of competition there. At the safety spot, lost our safeties. A couple of our safeties, about three of our safeties went in the transfer portal. We lost two starting corners that were first team all conference and second team all conference, and Rob and the Tyrants. So we lost our corners. So we're new, but at the same time, we feel good about who we have and what's going on. And again, one of the biggest losses, as you know, and it's Noah, but it's Tyrus. It's Tyvon. At running back. Him and DJ, DJ went in the portal. He decided to go in the transfer portal, and we lost some other guys. But we got to revamp that whole running back position. And Anthony, Chickett, Anthony decided he wanted to go in the portal. He felt like he can do a better thing. I think he's at Temple now. Now, I'm not sure if he's there as a scholarship player, as a walk-on, but he's at Temple right now. So we lost Anthony also, who was also a big part of what we had going. Lost both our tight ends. One went in the portal, one went in the portal. And the crazy thing is this, Pitts. Landon. How great Landon Lucas was for us. Landon, and the crazy thing, Landon graduated. He was done, but then the JUCO rule came out, and so Landon got an extra year. And we called him, and he's like, "Coach, I'm gonna see what I can do." He went in the portal. He got picked up by Tulsa. He got an NIL. He got an NIL deal. He puts himself in position, and I'm happy for the young man. I hope it works out for him. I hope it works out great for him, because I think he's the kind of young man that could play at the next level. I really do, just because of his work ethic more than anything else. He could be an H-back if he's not going to be a tight end, an inline tight end. So we lost those guys, but I think we picked up some good pieces. I can't tell you if they're going to be great now or great later, because haven't been through spring ball. I kind of wait to comment on the guys that we have and see how they go. But I do feel good about Zach Tanner. Zach's the quarterback who played the last game for the Stars in the last game against Stonehill. Had a real good game for us against Stonehill. And I feel good about that. So we have him at the lead of everything, at the realm of everything. I think the guys feel positive about what he can bring to the table.
That's right. Chickett is at Temple too.
Yeah, Chickett went to Temple. Yeah.
That's right. So, Coach, this is like, okay, so let's pause for a second.
Okay.
So you're literally, starting from ground zero, because
I think everybody does right now. I think with the transfer portal now and guys graduating, I think everybody's kind of starting at ground zero, and you're bringing guys in. The toughest part for me is like it isn't so much the players, it's the coaches. So that's the other ground. That's the ground zero, because you got 5 new coaches coming in trying to feel how I am with my personality. They got to feel how I am. I got to feel how they are. It's the personalities. It's the personalities. It's not so much the style of how they coach. I want guys that are passionate. I want guys that get after it. I want guys, and all the coaches that we have do that. It's the personality that you got to get used to, the yin and the yang, trying to figure those things out.
Is it easier to get used to the coaches' personalities versus the 50-plus football players that you have?
Both of them about the same pitch, to be honest with you, man. I think both of them are difficult trying to feel coaches out. I'm sure they feel the same way about me. When you come from one new coach who's a head coach who's this way, and you come in, I'm a different personality. So both of them about the same. I had a conversation with players a long time ago, and I asked them that question. I said, "What do you guys think the most difficult job is of a head coach?" And they're like, "Trying to win." I was like, "Absolutely not." It's dealing with these personalities. It's dealing with the players' personalities, the coaches' personalities, the trainers' personality, the equipment manager's personality, the strength and conditioning coach personality. You're dealing with all those guys. You're trying to get it together. And you're trying to build a culture out of that, a culture that understands this is the direction we're going, and we're trying to build better men, better husbands, and better fathers through the game of football. And how do we go about doing that? So every year you got to try to figure out how you're going to build that culture with those different personalities. And that's probably the toughest part of being a head coach, in my opinion.
Yeah. Going into spring ball, we done already talked about the players, the personnel, and the coaches or whatnot. And we get into this football aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
What is your approach to spring ball? How is it more of, let's see where the guys that are coming back are condition wise? Let's see what the guys that's coming in transfer or newly signed. What is your philosophy when it comes to spring football? What are you looking for?
To me, the most important thing, and what we go through is we call 4 or 5 quarters. We call our 5th quarter game. And right now we're in our 2nd quarter, which is spring ball, and that requires preparation and fundamentals. And that's probably the most important thing. We are trying to preach preparation, getting ready every day for what you need to do, and the basic fundamentals of doing that. So we have more individual drills and more teamwork stuff than anything else. We want to make sure these guys are taking the proper footwork, taking the proper stance, doing the proper punches, running the routes at the depth that we need. Doing those things are extremely important to get things rolling in the right direction. So preparation and fundamentals to me is the most important thing in spring. Spring ball practice is only about an hour and a half, but we're in the meeting rooms probably about 45 minutes to an hour. We want to make sure these guys know exactly what the coaches want from them, and you're talking them through everything. You're videotaping your individual. You're coaching them through individual. You're videotaping one-on-ones. You're coaching them through one-on-ones. You're videotaping team. You're coaching them through that. So those are the things that are extremely important to me. So preparation and fundamentals in the 2nd quarter is extremely important to us.
What is the carryover that you take from spring football into fall practice before fall ball starts? Because you're going to your 5th quarters, and then once we get into the meat of it, that's when you really get to put in your planning and what the makeup of your team is going to look like.
Well, the most important thing, because as you know, and you've talked about this before, we don't have the funding for summer school. So when you don't have the funding for summer school, make sure our guys are working to get where they need to be at. So we hit the ground running because we have to treat our training camp like preseason. So we have to get after them. So there's not a day goes by that we're not in pads. It's not a situation where we're in uppers and stuff like that. The first 3 days, we have to be in uppers. The 5 days, we have to be in uppers. That's it. But after that, we're full pads. I want to make sure our guys understand what they're going. It's going to be a grueling season. It's going to be 12 games. You got to get after it each week. So to us, our training camp is like preseason because we don't have the luxury of having summer school where we can work at them and get with them and make sure they're doing the things they're supposed to do in the summer. We got to rely on them to volunteer and do those things and bust their behinds when they're at home. So we got to make sure training camp to us is like, like I said, it's like a preseason, getting after it and making sure we're hitting as much as we can based on the NCAA regulations and things like that. But those are things that's important. So summer is extremely important for us because our guys are working by themselves. And then when training camp comes, we got to get after it.
Hot topic right now, spring football games. Mm-hmm. What is your take on that? I see that there are, I think, want to say 5 or 6 other universities who has either scrapped their spring game altogether or they switched it to a position on position competition drill, backers on running back, 7 on 7. What is your take in regards to, and do you feel that it's unnecessary? Do you feel it's monotonous to play the spring game because all you're doing is battling each other?
I don't feel anytime you're on the field and you're competing, I don't feel it's unnecessary. I think it's extremely important. We've never had a spring game. We've always had a scrimmage. So it's always been offense versus defense for us, always, because I just think that's more important as opposed to separating the guys and getting them going and things like that. And we'll even have sometimes we'll separate, we'll have a special team scrimmage when we start training camp. But other than that, I think it's extremely important for your guys to know what it's like to go after each other, to play hard with each other. The great thing about last year's spring game is our quarterbacks came to me and was like, Coach, we want to be live. We're tired of guys saying we sacked them. Well, let's see if they can sack us, Coach. So that thing was exciting for me. But I don't think anytime you can compete and get after each other that it's a waste of time. I think the biggest reason most teams are doing it is because of the 105 rule. Now that you're going to have a max of 105 guys on a team, I think that has more to do with it because now you're trying to figure out, okay, who am I going to keep on the team? Who am I not going to keep on the team? Because that's what it boils down to now. Because people can say what they want to say. Because you can only have 105 guys going into camp. You can have 125 right now, but once camp starts, 20 of them got to go, and that ain't even counting the guys you still may bring in from the transfer portal, which opens up in June. So which opens up in May. So it's a situation where bam. Now we got to figure out we're bringing new guys in and get rid of guys and what's going on. So that has a lot to do with it now. I think it's more about fundamentals. Like you said, the reason coaches are putting in a situation where guys are competing against each other because, okay, am I going to keep this guy? Am I going to keep this guy? Am I going to keep him based on competition or based on how he's running or how he's playing? So those things become extremely important. So that has more to do with, I think, now than anything else. Again, in my opinion, because when it comes to the 105, I already told our guys, we're only bringing 105 to camp. So we got to make sure the guys are doing what they need to do, getting after it, busting their behinds is extremely important. Now we got to wait for Pitts to come back. So I got to make sure I carry on the conversation until he gets back. Here he is. Go ahead.
So Coach, are you for scrapping spring games? Are you for or against? Do you have a preference?
No, I really don't have. But like I said, we've never had a spring game. It's always been scrimmage, offense versus defense. I know when I was at Miami, we had orange versus white, so it was always a spring game. So always did. But again, things are so different now, man. The foundation of football has kind of changed in certain ways. So we got to make sure we got to change with it. It's a situation. It can't be a dinosaur. You can't sit back and say, I'm going to do it this way. I'm always done it this way. No, you can't be a always done it this way type guy. You got to figure out what's the best way to navigate the new system of what's going on in football and what's the best way to navigate it and get the best out of your players. And so that's what we're going to do as a staff. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about it. What's the most important thing? Is it the fundamentals and the preparation, or is it playing a spring football game? So I think what it is it goes down to fundamentals of preparation for us, and that's the most important thing.
Are you for, if the NCAA says, you know what, let's go ahead and do it? Are you for with your team scrimmaging another team for a spring game?
100%. I would love to do that. Now you're talking, especially before the season starts. I would love to be able to scrimmage a team, and doing training camp, before the season starts, have a preseason game, really, go in and maybe play against a Division II team or a Division III team and bring over and let them get out there doing 7-on-7, playing some inside, doing some inside run, doing some team run and stuff like that. I would love to do that 100%, no doubt about it.
Lastly, you're there in my hometown, and I said I had to throw a little razzle dazzle. I had nothing to do with college football.
Okay.
What in the hell is going on downtown in Oakland, Pennsylvania? Like, what are we doing? Like, we went from last year having Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. We then don't have either. We then go get a DK Metcalf, and then we have Mason Rudolph and the bum from Miami who should have been gone. Like, how do you make sense of that quarterback position?
First of all, I don't ever comment. You know this, and I know this. I do not comment on another man's squad because, again, I'm not sitting in the rooms. I'm not sitting in the boardrooms. I'm not privy to the information that they have. So the moves that they're making, obviously, they feel are the best moves for them. Now, it may not be the best moves for you as a fan, but it's the best moves for them because they're doing what they need to do in order to have a winning football team. And I guess that's how they're looking at it. Again, let's look at the finished product. Once the finished product gets here, let's make it happen. Because you, of all people, should know how many people say don't put Russ in. And you said put Russ in last year.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a situation where you don't know what's going to happen.
You already know.
So,
absolutely.
Again, you can't, unless you're sitting in those rooms and you're trying to figure out what's the most important thing, because you got to know every coach wants to win. And that's the most important thing. Every team wants to win. I don't care if it's Little League, all the way up to the NFL. Every team wants to win. They're going to do what's best for their team, not for what's best for an individual. They're going to do what's best for their team in order to put the best product on the field and win football games. So there's no doubt in my mind that's what they're doing, with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Coach, I appreciate you, man. I had to throw that little razzle dazzle in there, man.
No problem.
I've been down here in Maryland scratching my head every time I see the ticker hit. I just I just tell fans, leave me alone. I don't want to talk Pittsburgh Steelers football at this moment. Let's wait until after the draft, and then I don't have a choice but to talk about it. But I appreciate you as always, man.
Absolutely.
This is going down every other Thursday for right now until the season began. Catching myself. I'm sorry, not Thursday. Every other Wednesday with Coach and myself. Hey, man, it's going down through the eye of the tiger. You know what it is. Pits and Push Sports Talk Radio, Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV. Oh, and lastly, shout out to those staples. Shout out to my sponsors, Staples and Smartwater. I appreciate you for believing in me, seeing my vision, believing in my dream, and, you know, lending your hand along the way. So gratefully appreciate it. Go ahead, Coach. Do like you normally do.
Appreciate your Pistons. Make it happen. And, hey, our boys are in the daggum. They're in the tournament. So this
Robert Morris University Hoop Squad. Let's go.
Let's go, Bobby Mo.
Y'all know what it is, man. I catch y'all next. Oh, tune in tomorrow, man. Got another show coming in. Got Coach, you know, Damon Wilson, Morgan State University Bears. Listen, it's about to get spicy this football season. Let's talk about it. I'm your boy Pitts.